Blackmagic Design just released DaVinci Resolve 20.3.2, and with it came a lot of important bug fixes. Like one of those specifically for me was I shoot with a Sony a7 IV for still images, and with the still images, I like to shoot lossless compressed RAW. And prior till today, they didn't work on the color page at all. So now I can actually shoot with those. I can debayer those raw still images to S-Log3 if I want to. But the reason I really wanted to post today is because of the top of the release notes on pretty much every time they come out with new software. And they suggest you do a complete project library backup as well as export individual projects so you can have safekeeping. Now, I gotta be honest, this is more of a do as I say, not do as I do sort of video, but it's actually so simple to do. I probably should start doing it more often, and you should too, so let's learn how that's done. I've already got Resolve open over here, and the reason I wanted to do it open is I wanted to just show you how you close a project so we can get a clean backup. Come down to the project manager down here, this little home icon, or Shift 1 will get you there quickly. To close a project when it's open so we can do a clean backup of everything, right-click on the active project, and then you just say close. Now that that's closed, we want to click the icon just to the left of where it says projects. That will disclose and show you all the databases or project libraries, the same thing if you look at old videos. And what we're looking for is the I for information, the details button. And once you do that, this will be the same on the network tab and the local tab. You just click backup. That's all there is to it. It's going to grab everything when we run this. Because it's a tutorial, I will put it on the desktop, of course. We'll hit save. It's going to warn me it might take a while. Because this is new for 2026, I don't have a lot of data in here yet. I'll just click backup, and it will always prompt you when it's done doing this. There's not like a progress bar. So if you do have a really big one, it might take, it could take 3-5 minutes if it's super, super big. But you will get this notice here. You click OK. And if I take a look at my desktop, now this could easily be put in some cloud storage for safety. We get this .resolve.backup file, and it was only 17 megabytes. So what the heck do you do with this backup file? What good is a backup if you don't know how to use it? The way you actually use it is with a restore feature that's built into the project manager. Let me show you how that's done, because it's really, really simple. Back here in the project manager, to restore, right next to the magnifying glass is this little, it's like a downwards button. You'll click that, and you point to the backup file. Sure, that's our backup file. And at this point, what it's doing, that backup we took is kind of like a time-stamped archive. It's going to pull all this into your basically your Postgres database server, which you either have a local one or a network one like I have here. And at this point, you have the opportunity to rename it. So I might just call this one 2026 Restore. I can leave everything else the same as default here. I don't need to worry about anything else. I hit create. It's going to say it will take some time because it's basically doing a copy of that data, putting it in the right Postgres locations. It's done. Now I've got a copy that's been completely restored. This is honestly the best way to restore a local database if you're moving from one computer to another. Because I'm on the network tab and maybe I don't want this restore, I'll show you how you blow that away. If I click I for information right here, I can say remove. Now this is just specifically for network databases because I know a lot of you guys work at facilities and need to know how to do this. I can click remove. This doesn't actually delete it from the database. It removes it from the list here. To actually delete this restored version of the database, what you need to do is go to a tool like pgadmin, which gets installed if you're running DaVinci Resolve Project Server. So I'm going to load that up. So it's called pgadmin. And when we get that open, you'll notice it's asking for a password. The password that is the default that DaVinci Resolve Project Server gives you is the word DaVinci with a capital D and a capital V for Vinci. So capital D, lowercase a, uppercase V, lowercase I-N-C-I. We'll say OK. And that opened everything up. And you can see, yeah, we've got Postgres databases for everything that mirrors what's inside this window here. So personally, I don't need this, the one that's called 2026 Restore anymore. So this is very dangerous, by the way. So only do this if you really mean to be deleting stuff. But once we come in here to 2026 Restore, I'll right-click on it, and I will say Delete Force. And it says, are you sure we're actually going to blow this thing away? Yes, I'm sure. This was just for a tutorial. Now it's completely gone. I can close out of pgadmin. And then once we come back to DaVinci Resolve, if I click on the one that I just restored, it says, hey, I can't even find this anymore. It's because I deleted it completely. Now, if I want to get rid of it from my list, I hit the details icon. I say remove. and it's completely disconnected. And so I don't have to, I've completed the circle of demoing how you can create a project library backup and restore it. Now, the other part of this whole backup thing when you update versions is they say you should export all the individual projects. It used to be that you had to right click on these and go export project one by one by one. But thankfully, things have gotten much better over the years, and we don't have to do that anymore. We can actually batch select all these as individual projects. So to do that, the easiest way I'm going to do that, I'm going to go to my list view so I can just lasso select them. Then I can right click and say export projects plural, which is fantastic. Didn't used to exist. They keep updating the software every single year. And maybe I just call this one 2026 backups. Hit create, and it'll start running. Essentially what this is doing is the same kind of idea. It's zipping up all the data that's in those, making .drp, DaVinci Resolve project files, that could be stored and archived and then re-imported anytime later on. So let's take a look at the backups here. See, all these .drp files. And the great thing about when you do an export project is it retains all that metadata about like when the project was started and stuff. So if you need to organize by date, which is important for a lot of the work that I do, it's all contained within there. So if I want to restore some of these, like maybe I just want to re-import one of them, all I'm going to do is I will just take, maybe I want to load the Disco Mats tutorial, which is not even released yet. I bring that back into here. We'll call this one just copy of, sure. Don't call it copy of. I'm just trying to get through this so you don't have to sit and wait. It basically just restored that entire project in there. And it just the main thing to know if you're new to Resolve, you're always operating from the project library. You're never operating from these external .drp files. And the biggest thing I always see that's a big mistake is never put your project database on cloud service like a Dropbox or a Google Drive or an iCloud or none of those. Oh, and also never put your project library on a little external SSD. And the reason why is if that cable ever accidentally gets unplugged, and you're writing something, it can get corrupted. So always, always, always put your databases, project libraries on a secure internal drive that is always connected, not over cloud and not an external SSD. Now, the final thing I want to talk about is how do we back up cloud project libraries? So a couple years ago, they introduced Blackmagic Cloud, which basically says you can host all your projects on their cloud servers, which I believe are Amazon Web Services. If I hit the information button over here, there's a backup button. But what actually happens when we say backup from here? It opens up your web browser because the backups are all done for Blackmagic Cloud through their website. So to do it is actually really simple. It opened me right to that database right here, project library, sorry. You come over to the right side where it says backups, and you just say create backup. Now, before I hit this, I do want to point out something that was a fantastic thing that they added not too long ago, and it's enable daily automatic backup. And you can see it's been doing this right after midnight on a daily basis. So it is already giving you automatic daily backups. But if you want to force a manual one at this point, you can easily do that. Just hit create backup and you'll see the progress bar churning and churning. And it's basically storing all of the complete database backups in your Blackmagic Cloud storage. It's not something you can download, unfortunately, but that's about it. My name is Chadwick, if we haven't met before. I'm a DaVinci Resolve Master Trainer and Finishing Artist based here in New York. I super appreciate you sticking with me and learning today, and because there's so much more to learn, I'll see you in the next video.